If you need any more proof that Embracer Group is the perfect representation of what is wrong with the corporate mindset of video games today, then the cow's got a video for you. This is a cow's opinion. Have to make my own sound effects, but that's okay, because we are here to talk about garbage, which is what Embracer Group is right now. So if you don't know, Embracer Group owns the most developers and brands of any video game company worldwide. Now think about that for a second. Activision before being bought by Microsoft, but now Microsoft, Electronic Arts, any Japanese company, Tencent in China, which makes you go through them to be able to release a game in China. These guys don't own as much as Embracer Group, which is literally just a bunch of hedge fund activists and corporate suits. I was going to say it not safe for work, but I'm going to try to keep this video clean, guys. I'm going to try. It's a bunch of guys who just want to, startup money and think that they can rule video games for this. Now, if you don't know the story, Embracer started buying up lots of developers, lots of publishers, and just assembling like a massive Avengers style of every single brand. They were going to rule video games. And it all came crashing down because Embracer said that a final piece of the deal didn't come in. What was that final piece of the deal? You asked? I'm so glad you asked. It was $2 billion from a Saudi Arabian sovereign wealth fund to be able to fund these studios until they could start making. Because as we just talked about in our last video, AAA games take years and lots of money. So if you're going to have a ton of studios making a ton of different games, some AAA, some single A, maybe some even some indie style releases, that's going to take a lot of cash in the piggy bank to be able to continue funding them. Well, it didn't work, as anyone could have told you. It was a lot of... I'm surprised I got to that very last step, because they did a lot of long shots. And now we're coming to the fallout of stupidity. Embracer Group has confirmed it's laid off 1,400 employees, and that more cuts could be coming. And even a few larger structural divestment processes are ongoing as the plan reaches the final stretch. Let me tell you something. Embracer Group has proven that they are not good with the planning. No. They are not Wile E. Coyote with their little diagrams and their diabolical schemes and machinations. They're just dumb. But 1,400 jobs in Embracer Group is only 8% of their global... Think about that. They are so big that they can lay off 1,400 people, and it's not even a tenth of the people that they have. That's... They're still going to have like 15,000 people. That's a lot of developers. Hope that siren's not too bad for you guys. The restructuring plan was all the way back in June, and I do want to thank Tom Ivan on Video Game Chronicle for this terrible thing. But look, they've shut down stuff like, some pretty good things. Saints Row developer Volition, which unfortunately did not survive the absolute terrible reboot of Saints Row that nobody asked for a CW cast for. But Time Splitter Studio Free Radical Design, for the love of God, let me Free Radical Design's people make a new studio and give me a spiritual successor. Excuse me. I'm had a rough day and I'm very angry about this, so I'm going to be flubbing my words even more than my dumb butt usually does. I apologize. But Free Radical Design is gone, and then Borderlands maker Gearbox, which makes good games and decent money. They're having to put up assets for sale now because they don't have the money anymore. They've been making layoffs at other things, like how about Gearbox? Because, why don't you just fire everybody before you sell the company? Tomb Raider's Crystal Dynamics, Knights of the Old Republic remake studio Beamdog, Pinball FX maker Zen Studios, and of course, the thing that makes poor Jesse Cox over at his channel upset, Deus Ex Studio Eidos Montreal, which also had their freaking game canceled. Now, on Thursday, 483 people were let go during its third fiscal quarter ending in 2023. Added to 904 and will get up to 1387. Embracer has also canceled 29 games and closed 7 studios in the latter half of last year. Think about that. You are never going to make the money if you don't release games. It is hard to release games when you close 7 studios, lay off 1,300 people, and cancel more than 2 dozen games. You're canceling this is the stuff that they need. But they're all focused on just, you can't see me making the little money sign, but I'm making the money sign. They're focused so much on short term that they are just doing massive long-term damage to their brand, to their employees' trust, to their customer base trust, and to these IPs that they have bought. Now, the CEO, Lars Wingefors, which is a villain name if I ever heard of one, or if it's not, it should be, says that the restructuring plan is in the final stretch, but more cuts are going to come because the company's going to look to sell more assets. As part of the restructuring program, Embracer still has a few larger structured divestment processes ongoing that could strengthen our balance sheet and further reduce CapEx. That's a very fancy way of saying we're going to have less people we got to pay and less stuff we have to pay for. So we're going to rule video games by firing game developers and releasing fewer games. The processes are in the mature stages. It's important to add that certain companies might initiate restructuring before any divestment is announced. However, our overruling principle, and this is the part that made the video and set me off, is always to maximize shareholder value in any given situation. And then the rest of it is just they're unlikely to reach their targets, but they could have more. Guys. And this is just an article talking more about the restructuring plan. I also had that, I want to make sure that got in through. Overruling principle is to always maximize shareholder value in any given situation. So, that's what made the video that you're watching and listening to right now. What is the cow's opinion? The cow's opinion is that Embracer Group is stupid. Anyone would tell you that you cannot, anybody with a brain that's not a venture capitalist vulture will tell you, with good economic understanding, there are many things that affect a stock price, guys. There's a lot of things. Economics is a very complicated dance of a bunch of different levers and switches that you can pull and throw, and at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do because the overall economy, both in your industry and your nation and the world as a whole, are going to have very big impacts on what your stock price is. Now, Embracer is trying to look really good short term because they didn't get the money and now they're trying to fix things by laying off people. They're trying to make the companies look in the best shape possible as they start to divest more. And I hope that people who actually care about video games are the ones that are buying some of this stuff. Because let me tell you something. Again, Embracer didn't get into games to make games. They got in it just to make money. How can we buy up everything and then we just make all the games? But they're not making games, guys. 1,400 layoffs and 29 canceled games on top of 7 shuttered studios with long histories that could probably... Look, I understand the Saints Row developer Volition one because the game just absolutely bombed and was buggy. And that could be a death throat song dirge. Song dirge? Song dirge. Look, that's not good for anybody as I get off my little bunny trail right now from the song dirge. And I understand that sometimes it's just easy to be like, well, that sucked and we're not doing it anymore. But here's the thing. I don't think Embracer Studios is going to be anything more than a shadow of itself over the next couple of years. I think that they're going to keep having to fire staff, close studios, sell off IP. There's nothing that they can do. Because they've gotten into the mindset that we have to cut now. They put themselves in a no-win situation where they needed a $2 billion with a B dollar influx of money. There would still be some layoffs even if they got that. That's just how mergers and acquisitions go, unfortunately. But they didn't get the money to run these studios, and now they're like, what do we do? Well, you have to get rid of the studios and the people that you can't afford, that you could not. They bought these things knowing they could not afford them unless they got the money. Why they went on the spending spree before they got the money, I don't know. But this is what happens when suits try to play four-dimensional chess with an entire industry. And look, shareholders will reward them short term. Short term, the balance sheets are going to look better. The outlook is going to look brighter. But I promise you, anybody who's doing their homework in investing is going, but how are you going to make the money you need with less games and less people? That's not how gaming works. That's not how any industry works. You need labor and you need product. And it doesn't make any sense. This is one of the things that I want to leave you with. One person once wrote, there's a book called Too Big to Fail. It goes over the financial crisis of when all those big investment banks and regular banks thought that they could, play the mortgage market infinitely and just printed money. It did not. It caused the global financial crisis. One of the best quotes in that book is when somebody was saying, this is ridiculous. They're just papering over their stuff and they're not dealing with the problem. And the most profitable day of a company like this is the day before it closes. Because it's cut so much staff and it's cut so much product and it's cut so much everything. You're like, man, this looks really great. And the next day happens and people turn on your plan and you're dead in the water. I don't know how long Embracer Group has, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's just a fraction of the size soon. I think they're just going to have to keep doing it over and over. $2 billion to get into the video game industry, on top of whatever else they'd already paid to get into the video game industry. And you can make a great indie game that sells well and can print tens, if not even $100 million if it's great and it catches fire. And they had to spend and they lost $2 billion, and now 1,400 people are paying the price. The shareholders that they're trying to appease, never ever appease your shareholders first. They should be last. It goes your workers, because happy workers make happy customers. That's just it. If your workers are happy, your customers will be happier. Make sure you take care of your customers because they buy the products and services. Shareholders are last, but here's the magical thing. If you have happy customers and happy employees, you will almost always have happy shareholders. Happy shareholders do not guarantee happy customers or happy employees. But the other two guarantee happy shareholders because money's being made, and that's all shareholders care about. The shareholders that they are trying to appease right now only care about money. And a lot of them are probably just in this for a trade. The stock may bounce after all these layoffs. When it's up 8-10 bucks percent, whatever they have, they're going to sell it and it's going to crash. It's going to trigger more layoffs. Guys, investors and shareholders are lizards. They are cold-blooded animals and they will eat whatever you put in front of them. And Embracer Group is going to find that out real quick. But let me know down in the comments, what you think. Did I name any of the studios that you are really upset about? And hey, how about the fact that, thousands of people are losing their jobs in the gaming industry this year? That sucks hard. Going to set a new record after last year. And it's tough. I know it's tough. A lot of the industry news that we look at is bad. So I want to leave you guys with this. We do have Mario vs. Donkey Kong coming out on the channel, if you'd like, this weekend, to just have a little fun. If Big Daddy Amazon delivers on time, I can start making episodes Friday and Saturday. We're going to have Unicorn Overlord next month, because it's fun. And guys, look, games are awesome. and you're awesome. And I don't want you to feel down. It's easy to feel down and to scream unionization now and then nothing happens because unions aren't forming right now. And sure, they probably should if this is how the people at the top are treating them. But right now, it's not happening. Guys, if you make video games, just don't ever sell out. The money's great, but unless you're willing to exit the company and the industry as a whole, you're going to get eaten up by somebody in the process. This is just how these big companies work. They eat each other like freaking Ouroboros. I bet you didn't think I was going to put that into a channel review, huh? But yeah, we're getting smart here. They just eat whatever they can. And if you love video games, just support the video games from small studios that you like. We got Frost Giant Software making their own version of StarCraft for RTS gaming again. You've seen lots of little games on this channel. We have Small Saga out. That's a small developer, and it's a lot of fun. Just support smaller companies, indie games, and then just, that's just all we can do, guys. I want you to have a good night. We may or may not have news tomorrow. If it is, I'll try to make it positive. But like I said, you should get Mario vs. Donkey Kong starting this weekend. Come on, guys. We can turn this around. We can be better. We can do better. I'll see you next time.